Welcome back to Quilt Addicts Anonymous. I'm Stephanie Soebbing. Today we're going to be making block 3 of the Kaleidoscope Block of the Month. This is Northcott Fabric's official block of the month for 2017, although you can do it anytime. It uses Stonehenge Gradations. They're really, really beautiful fabrics, so make sure you go check those out. You can get the pattern book and the fabrics for this at your local quilt shop, which carries Northcott fabrics, or at quiltaddictsanonymous.com. Let's get started. So we have gone over instructions on how to do strip piecing in the last 2 videos. So I'm going to skip those for today because you should all be experts. If you need a refresher, there is a really in-depth look at it in block 1, as well as a condensed version in block 2. So if you need a refresher, go check those out and watch them again. Today I'm going to spend my time showing you how to put this together because this is not a traditional setting of a block. It's more of a log cabin type setting, and what this does is it kind of frames up that center medallion and gives your quilter the opportunity to do something fabulous and exciting in the corner of your medallion to really make that pop. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sew together these units because they're the same size. So we have a black square that's the same size as our 4-patch here, and do make sure you're referring to your printed instructions and your pattern book so you make sure that you're using the right fabrics and everything is in the right spot. Now I'm just going to use a regular 1/4" stitch for putting this together. And I'm going to sew my first one together here. This really is a pretty quick block, it just has a little bit of an unusual setting. So now it's time to press this block. In this case, I'm going to be pressing the seam underneath the large black square. Alright, that's done. Now we're going to put it back in place. Okay, so now we can see that this piece that we just sewed together is now the same size as the rectangle next to it. So this is going to be our next one to sew together. We're going to lay those right sides together. You can pin if you want to. I'm not going to. It's just a nice straight seams, no points. So pretty easy. Now when I'm getting to big seams like this, I really don't like to pin if I don't have to. So what I do is I get it started, and then once I can fit my entire block on the table, I'll line up my corners, put my finger at the bottom, and kind of hold those corners together that way. And then I get a nice great seam. And it's pretty quick because you don't have to worry about pins. Now when I'm pressing a seam to one side, I'm always thinking, what is the path of least resistance? In this case, it's going to be the one with the long rectangle, because on this one I have 2 seams from our pieced units. So this is going to be the easiest way to press it, with the seam under this long rectangle. Now through the magic of math, we have our unit that we've now pieced together, piece 1, 2, and 3, is now the same width as our second black rectangle, which is up here. So we're going to go ahead and arrange those right sides together. Again, you can pin at this point. I'm not going to, just because I've done this a million times and don't need to, but you can feel free to do that. Alright, we're just sewing another 1/4" seam. I'm about halfway through, so now I'm going to line up my corners in the back. So again, for this block, we're going to press toward the path of least resistance, which is the large rectangle that we just sewed on. Now it's time for our last seam. So we have now our longest rectangle is going to fit on the side of our block here, and it fits perfectly now that everything is sewn together. So now we're going to sew this long seam together. Again, you can pin if you want to, you don't have to. So now we're going to sew down this really long seam, and then our block is going to be pretty much done. We just have to press it. This one really goes super fast, and this is one of those blocks where you can tell your quilter to really have a lot of fun in, because there's a lot of negative space where they can really do something fantastic to really set off the rest of that center medallion. So here we have our last seam. I'm going to go ahead and set that seam, and now I'm going to press it so that the seam is going underneath this large rectangle. which is the path of least resistance. And now we're done. So here we have it. This is block 3 of the Kaleidoscope Block of the Month with Northcott fabrics featuring Stonehenge Gradations. It's really fast and simple because you really are only piecing one little corner of it, but it really is fabulous because when you put together the rest of the center medallion, it really sets it off and gives it that stunning look in the center, and all this negative space is just really a gift to your quilter because they can do something fabulous in it and really make it stand out. Thanks so much for following along. Make sure you go to your local quilt shop that carries Northcott fabrics to get your pattern book for the Kaleidoscope Block of the Month by Quilt Addicts Anonymous, or you can get it at quiltaddictsanonymous.com. Thanks so much for following along, and look forward to seeing you for the instructions for block 4.